Welcome, lovely listeners, to another exciting episode of Transform Yourself, the podcast that's all about empowering you to shed those stubborn pounds and embrace your best selves. We are your hosts, Kacy and Tyler, and we use the 4 M's of fitness, mind shift, meal shift, micro habits, and muscle building to create attainable and sustainable approach to weight loss. We've lost a collective 130 pounds. We've kept it off for 2 years. And today we are going to tell our weight loss story. I feel like it's our origin story. Every superhero has a really great origin story, so this would be ours.
Mine's like Batman,
Yeah.
except my parents don't die. And I was fat and got less fat.
Yeah, except for that.
So other than that, it's exactly the same.
Exactly the same. You're Batman. I think it's important to start by telling the listeners that I did not just struggle with my weight in my 40s. I have struggled with my weight for most of my life. Even in high school, I was one of the what you call fat girls on the drill team. And I remember I was mortified.
Wait. Okay, I've seen pictures of you in high school.
Yes, you have.
You were definitely not, by today's standards, the fat girl.
I kind of, I look back now, I reflect on it, and I see pictures of myself in high school. I was larger than most of the other girls in high school at the time. I think, yes, you're right. I think by today's standards, I was not a fat girl in high school. I was larger in high school, and I was not this was the 90s. I was not a stick thin girl like everybody else on the drill team. Mm-hmm. And there were 5 or 6 of us, and we would be pulled from practice by our instructor. She would march us into the dressing room and have us weigh ourselves in front of each other and talk about our weight. The rest of the drill team, they all knew what was happening.
That's wild. That's a wild story that anyone would do that. That's crazy.
I mean, I remember being mortified that I was one of the 5 or 6 so-called fat girls on the drill team. It stuck with me for my entire life. I remember the instructor's name. I will not call her out on our podcast.
We should.
No, we are not. We are not.
I'll call out. So when I was in elementary school, I had a coach call me fat. I'll call him out. I'll say his name. I don't care.
Go for it.
His name was Coach Crockett. He was an ass.
Okay.
I remember being very mad. My mom went up to school and got in his ass about it, and that was it.
Wait, your mom went to the school because he called you fat?
Yeah, it was something. I mean, this was literally 35 years ago or whatever. I don't exactly remember all of it. I'm sure my mom could regale us with the tale, but yeah, he called me fat. And I was. I mean,
okay.
Let's call a spade a spade.
Were you?
By the 90s standards, yeah. But anyways, I digress. Go ahead.
Yeah. Quick note, we did not go to high school together. I didn't meet Tyler until I was in my 30s. Is that correct? Yeah, that's correct.
15 years ago.
Thank you for counting. But I went through so many diets and so many phases in my entire life of losing 20 pounds, gaining 30 pounds, losing 30 pounds, gaining 40 pounds. I stepped on that Weight Watchers scale and sat in the Weight Watchers meetings. I tried the keto diet. I tried intermittent fasting. I tried phentermine. I tried all of them. And I'm not saying that they didn't work. Yeah, sure, they worked. They worked short term. And then I always gained all of the weight back every single time. And then some. So weight loss is something that I for sure struggled with for my entire life. Ty, what kind of diets have you tried that you struggled with?
I didn't try any diets. It was just really the only thing that ever.
You were never a part of Weight Watchers culture?
No, I was never a part of Weight Watchers culture. I'm just trying to think. It was really just a lifetime of half-assed trying to lose weight, but also trying to drink and not really changing much. Obviously, there were up and down periods, but there were mostly up periods, I guess you could say.
Right. I mean, that's what kind of led us to where we eventually landed. So let's go ahead and fast forward to our current weight loss story, the weight loss story that stuck, right? The sustainable one, the one that we've kept the weight off for 2 years. And I'm so proud of that. We look back at ourselves and feel like we've essentially changed who we are to the core of who we are.
Yes.
And I think that's why it has been sustainable. So our story, our current weight loss story takes us to the height of COVID. in 2020, March of 2020, I was a educator. I was a teacher. And that's when, COVID school shut down. I didn't really have to go into work. Ty, you still went into work.
I still went into the office every single day like a schlub.
Yeah.
And came home. I still, it was not the same. I came home earlier than typical, than
You
normal.
did.
I probably get home around 3:30, 4 o'clock every day.
Yeah. And when he got home, me and our neighbors, who also were in education, we were pretty much having a nice margarita fest all day long.
Pretty much every day.
Every day. It was fantastic. It was a lot of fun.
It was margaritas and bush lattes.
Yes, it sure was. By the way, when we made those margaritas, it was with sugar-free mixer because I thought that was the healthy way to do things is use sugar-free margarita mix with a load of tequila. I was watching my weight.
It was our version of going and getting a Big Mac and a Diet Coke.
Yeah, it sure was. And we drank copious amounts of alcohol pretty much all day, all night. We would hang out because the restaurants were closed and everything was shut down. We created our own community of us and a few of the neighbors. We would sit outside in our chairs, order takeout, and have a fantastic time. Tyler and I were already overweight at the time, but man, we sure did pack on some extra pounds during COVID because of our lifestyle choices at the time.
So to dive deeper into that with takeout, on more than one occasion, I definitely DoorDashed literally, I think 75 hard tacos from Taco Bell.
You did.
And
it was the 75 taco night.
It was a couple of times. It was
That's
twice.
no exaggeration, by the way.
I didn't eat 75 tacos, but I ate.
We shared them.
We shared them as a group. I ate a lot of tacos.
You did.
You know what? I would love to, but I'm not ever going to do the math on how much just 10 Taco Bell tacos are. I'm sure it would probably make me sick to my stomach. And
Probably.
And there's no point anymore.
Right. And I would pretty much dive into a bowl of queso every night because the drinking would, lower my inhibitions, make me hungry. And a bowl of queso sounded delicious every night. To be honest, a bowl of queso still sounds delicious, but I choose to not have queso every night at this point. I was tipping the scales around 200 pounds. I remember weighing myself at one point. I don't know why I even stepped on a scale, but I thought, I'm not fitting in my pants the way I used to fit in my pants anymore. Even the yoga pants that I was wearing every day seemed a little tight on me. I remember getting on the scale and seeing 198 pounds, and that was super scary to me. I, no doubt in my head, hit 200 at some point. I just didn't see it because I refused to weigh myself and look at the number. I didn't want to see it. Where were you at?
One morning, I do remember weighing myself, and I was hungover, and I vaguely remember seeing 270 on the scale, being sick about it. I didn't record it. I didn't log it in my phone. I didn't do anything like that. The highest I can go back and find a record of is right around 250.
Yeah.
So 270 is probably pretty close to the top. And I just remember in that period of time, like my skin felt like it was full. It was stretched, especially after eating a big meal. Tying your shoes was hard. Everything is hard.
I do remember trying to teach June how to ride a bike and thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I can't do this. This is really hard. I have to run behind her holding onto the bike. And I was out of breath after just a few feet. I remember being sad about it. So fast forward to September of 2020. That's when you were drinking excessive amounts of alcohol. You want to take that over from here?
The fast version of that story is just overindulging, sneak drinking.
By sneak drinking, he means he would go into the garage and chug a beer by himself. I think is that what you mean by that?
Stuff like that. It would be stopping at the liquor store on the way home and having a little vodka on the way home.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah, like taking a Diet Coke and like pouring a vodka in it and drinking it on the way home. And we're talking a 10-minute trip between the liquor store and our house. And I would just pound
Not that it makes it right to drink and drive.
No, it doesn't.
Throwing that out there.
No, I'm not.
Drinking. We are not advocating drinking and driving.
I'm
by
not
any
advocating
means.
that. I'm just saying the 7 minutes it's going to do that drive, I would pound that drink.
The drink. Got it.
Stuff like that. Just drinking every opportunity I possibly could. Drinking early if I could. Drinking late if I could. Just overdoing it.
Right.
Constantly.
There was one night we got in a fight. I don't even remember what the fight was about. You left the house, and where did you go?
I went to a restaurant, which is, I know you laugh every time I say this. It was not a strip club. It was a Hooters. It wasn't Hooters, but it was a Hooters.
Did you just call it a restaurant?
Yeah, that's what they're called. It's a restaurant for
a boob restaurant.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, it's just full of scantily clad women wearing whatever and sad older guys and stupid yeah, I was in that category. And then young dumb guys, doing whatever.
Yeah, and that's where you had your last drink.
My last real alcoholic drink was at that bar, and it was a Carbach Hopadillo. I'll never forget.
Your last drink.
My last beer, and it was like one of those giant mugs, like a frosty mug. To be honest, it was a pretty good choice for a last beer. It wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't some.
Shout out to
it wasn't.
Car.
It wasn't total trash. It wasn't a Busch Latte. It wasn't
Got
an Ultra or whatever. So
it was good. And then you
came home
that night.
Drove home. After I've been drinking, a whole other issue.
Yeah,
but anyway,
definitely do not do that.
Whole other issue. And then slept in the driveway all night. But I think that was what I needed to realize, like, this is
your rock bottom?
Yes, that was my rock bottom. I obviously know, like, there's people who have had much worse rock bottoms, but that was enough for me to realize this has got to stop. And at that point, I tried to quit drinking
more than once,
a couple of times before, and there was always a wedding or a fill in the blank event that was like, oh, well, I'm not going to do this sober.
It would be your gateway to alcohol once again, right?
Yes. And I had the realization that I can't be the guy who can have a couple of beers and turn it off. It's when it's go. We're going to have a good time. We're going to get blackout drunk.
So one beer, it's either beer or
0
10.
beers or 100 beers.
Right.
I just decided that, if I wanted to not have a divorce and wanted to have, a life with my kids, that whole story, I had to totally stop. There was no having one for me.
Right.
So that was how I began losing weight, was the fact that I just cut out all those calories. And then with those calories were all of the bad food choices, all of the negative effects to your metabolism, all of the sleep, everything that's associated with that.
Right.
So,
and let's back up real quick, because I want to say that I remember you telling me you were quitting drinking in September of 2020. I remember thinking, yeah, okay. I mean, he's told me this before. I had doubt. I did, because of our past experiences, because of you telling me you were going to do it. You were going to quit so many times before, and then you would sneak drink or XYZ and continue to drink. I do remember a pivotal moment for me was thinking to myself that what you hear so many people say to you is, you can't change somebody else. All you can do in a circumstance is change yourself, right? So I thought, I sat on the couch and I remember thinking to myself, what can I do in this scenario to change myself so that I can get a different outcome? I thought to myself, well, every other time before that he tried to quit drinking, I would continue to drink. I would continue to drink wine or margaritas or whatever it was, because I could handle just having one or two and not make it 10. This time, I remember thinking, okay, look, if you want a different outcome, let's try something new. And I decided if he's going to quit 100%, I'm also going to quit 100%, because that is the only thing in my power that I can do that would be the most supportive thing in order to possibly get a different outcome. So he quit, I quit. We went to our garage refrigerator and we poured out what was left over, which we usually didn't have a whole lot left over, but we poured out what was left over of the tequila, the beer, got rid of all of the alcohol in our house, and we decided that was that. We made that choice and we didn't look back. It led us to exactly what you just said. It led us to immediate weight loss results. That was not our point and purpose, but it did lead us both to immediate 10, 15 pounds within about a month, because just the absence of those calories alone was life-changing for both of us.
And it would be the same thing for a lot of people if you drink a lot of soda or have like that one thing that you indulge in. If you cut that thing out, you're going to see quick
Immediate results.
Which, it's water weight, it's a whole lot of things, but you'll see a pretty quick snap in the scale.
Right.
And probably in like the way your face looks and maybe your pants. I don't know. Maybe not your pants as much, but
we each kind of had our own little goal at that point. And I decided, wow, I've lost 10 or 15 pounds just from not drinking alcohol. Like I'm going to really dig into weight loss. And I remember having that thought once again. Here comes the same thought in my head. The only thing I can do is try something different that I haven't tried before. What can I do different this time to get a different result? That's when I decided I wasn't going to go back to all of the past self. I wasn't going to go back to Weight Watchers, go back to keto, go back to intermittent fasting, go back to phentermine. I wasn't going to go back to any of that. I was going to do it completely different. I was going to dig into nutrition. I was going to dig into James Clear book on atomic habits. I was going to dig into podcasts about weight loss. That's exactly what I did. I decided I'm going to learn as much as I can and do things as different as I can to try to get a different outcome. And your path led you to your goal. Tell us about that.
Didn't really set out with a goal.
Yeah, you're right. You didn't.
Really went about it two different ways. I didn't have a goal. I guess my goal was I need to get sober. I need to get healthy. Like you were saying about the kids, like I want to be able to play with my kids and not feel out of breath. I want to be able to tie my shoes and not have to come up for air between my left and right foot. But at that point, part of that thought process was obviously cardiovascular health, aka running, became my outlet. I remember distinctly the very first time leaving our house and jogging down the road and towards our neighborhood pool. And between our house and the neighborhood pool is less than half a mile, probably between a quarter and a half. I remember getting just past it and feeling so winded and feeling like I was going to die. But I just decided I'm going to keep with this. I want to feel better. I want to look better. Obviously, running burns calories.
It was your thing. It was your outlet.
It became an outlet. And I kind of discovered after I had a little bit of momentum that the running was really better for my mental health than my physical health. Obviously, the physical health. It became like meditation in a way.
Right. I think it still is for you.
It is. And I haven't had a run in a couple of days now. I feel kind of funny and I want to get out because I feel like I need the sunshine. I need to get my blood pumping, stretch my legs out. That was kind of how that all started. And then eventually, after a couple of months, I was feeling better, looking better. Endurance had gone up a lot. I was like, you know what, let's try a marathon. That's always been like a kind of a bucket list thing for me. And so I started looking at it. You know what, let's start with a half. I went to Kacy and said, hey, I'm down near our house. There's a marathon coming up in like a couple months. I'm thinking about running the half. And you looked at me.
I remember.
Stone cold like a serial killer. And said, why are you going to be a little bitch and run a half marathon?
I did. I said it.
But that was the motivation I needed. And I signed up for the full and then ran the full.
I'm sorry I called you a little bitch.
Well, that was, I guess for me and my personality, that's something I respond to. I respond to the challenge.
Yeah, I gave him a little David Goggins answer.
Yeah, and I like that. I could do a whole, I could talk for days about that. I love that guy.
I knew you could do the entire marathon.
Yes.
He was already, mind you, when he came to me and said, I want to run a half marathon, he was already running 10 miles on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, 13 miles is not a challenge if you're already running 10. No, don't be a little bitch. Get out there and run those 26 miles because I know you can do it. I am certain you can do it. You just have to know that you can do it. I guess in my mind at the time, calling you a little bitch would get you to do it. And it worked.
It worked. And I did it.
Yay.
If you were really ambitious and want to look up the time, it's out there on the internet. It will not impress anyone. I think it's a great experience because
I don't want to do it. I want nothing to do with running 26 miles, but that's not my goal.
It was an incredible achievement. It's also a very humbling achievement because you will get walked by 70-year-old women. You're going to be out there and you are dying. And she's just like, keep it going, Sonny. And
running right past you.
Right past you. And so that's what I like about it as a quote unquote sport.
I'm very proud of you for doing it.
Yeah. but that's what I like about it as a sport is it's very inclusive. Anyone can do it. You just got to put in the effort.
So by November, December of 2021, the end of 2021 is when I had lost about 50 of my 70 pounds. Ty was doing his marathoning thing. We had both really kind of changed our lifestyle quite a bit. I will tell you though, even at that point, I had severe fear. I was allowing myself to relive the past. I was allowing myself to focus on the idea that in every other weight loss journey I had ever been on, I had gained the weight back. I knew I didn't want to gain this weight back. Here we are again. I'm asking myself the question, okay, what can you do different this time that you didn't do in the past? So that's kind of my reoccurring theme, is that I decided if I want change in my life, I have to do something different. My decision at that point was, okay, if I want this weight loss to be sustainable, from all of the research that I had been doing, from all of the podcasts I had been listening to, from all of the books that I had dove into, it was muscle building was the answer to that. I wish I had started muscle building prior to December of 2021, but I did not. I remember when I did start exercising or weightlifting, I remember trying to do a push-up. I think I might have gotten 3 push-ups out before I collapsed. I thought, oh man, I've got a long way to go. When Ty, you had been working out already, there were bouts of months where I would get out in the gym, exercise, but then I would start and then I would stop and then I would start and then I would stop. It was never consistent. I can tell you that the difference this time, I decided I'm not going to get out there in the gym and try to work out for an hour. That's unrealistic for me. I'm going to get out there and do 20 minutes. And you taught me how to do an EMOM, which is every minute on the minute.
Yep.
And I created 20-minute EMOM workouts for myself. And I thought, okay, I can do this. No excuses. There's no reason I can't get out to our garage for 20 minutes with a set of dumbbells.
You don't even need a set of dumbbells to do an EMOM.
You really don't. Fast forward to today. Both of us have built a considerable amount of muscle. Neither one of us are, bodybuilder types. We have changed our metabolisms. We have changed our basal metabolic rate because we built muscle. That allowed us to keep our weight off. But we didn't just change that. We changed so many things about the way I cook. How I cook for the family is so different. There is no such thing as, I don't really do fried foods. I used to do fried foods. We don't do fried foods anymore in our house. I mean, I'm not saying that we don't ever have pizza, but the great thing is that we don't have pizza every night. I'm not afraid of eating pizza. I don't have fear when I eat pizza that I'm going to gain all of the weight back, because we have our habits in place that keep us on track in between the pizza that we have. And it was not until January of 2022 that I decided, hey, all of these things that I've learned, all of these things that I have changed, all of these things, they work. And that's when I decided, I wonder if other people are interested. I'm going to start a social media account. January 9th, 2022, I started my Calorie Deficit Queen account on TikTok is where I started. I didn't jump over to Instagram until several months later. I wanted to share what I had learned and what I had done. That's where my social media account grew and started from. It was another 5 or 6 months after I started my social media account that I actually was able to distill down what it was that we had done to be successful. And that's where I distilled it down into 3 M's: mind shift, meal shift, and micro habits. I realized, oh, dummy, there's a 4th M to fitness, and form fit sounds a lot better than 3 fit. 3M fit.
3M is already a thing. They make Post-its.
Yeah, they do. I distilled it into the 4 M's of fitness: mind shift, meal shift, micro habits, and muscle building. And I still hold true to the idea that it was mind shift that was the catalyst to weight loss. It was me deciding every single time I wanted a different result in my life to change the way I approached how I lived my life. To change the way I approached it, I had to change the way I thought about it. Just like with Tyler quitting drinking, me trying a new approach to dieting. It was mind shift. The way I thought about myself, the way I thought about food, the way I approached our lifestyle was completely different. Here we are today. We've kept the weight off. We've both become better versions of ourselves. We no longer worry about gaining the weight back. It's a freedom that I've never had before. It wasn't our goal who made us who we are. It was the lessons that we learned along the way. It was the journey that made us who we are. It was embracing the suck. It was being consistent. The theme, I think, that was reoccurring for me is don't beat a dead horse. If you've tried a method that does not work, ask yourself, what can you do different this time? Let go of your past self, try something new. So as I wrap up today's episode, we encourage you to reflect on your thoughts and your actions. Are they aligning with how you want to transform your life? Thank you for joining us on this episode of Transform Yourself. If you found today's discussion valuable, please share it with somebody who might benefit. Remember that you are capable of incredible change, and it all begins with the right mindset and a foundation of self-love. Until next time, keep transforming, keep loving yourself, and stay committed to your journey.
Adios.